I'm so nervous. I got my questions here. 1, 2, check, check. I'm doing an interview with David Leadbetter. Yay! That's my sister. Hi. Christine.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, you look as fit as ever there, Amy.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully we can fit in that frame. I wasn't sure how tall you are. Oh, you just have super long legs.
You look as tall as me there, look at you. My feet are on the ground and yours aren't.
No. This is David Leadbetter. Everybody
Hello,
knows.
everybody.
He's one of the first ones to mark the modern golf swing, and I bet most golfers have seen your DVDs and read your books. How many academies do you have around the world?
We have 40 academies around the world now.
48?
40.
40.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
in 14 different countries.
Wow, 14 different countries.
Yeah, we have over 120 certified teachers who we've trained, resorts and private clubs, and now we're getting together with Golf Zone and going to do a lot of indoor facilities around the world.
Oh, nice. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure many golfers would love to hear your journey and how you actually really saw things. So if we can track back to like the 80s and, when you first started.
Let me see if I can think back that far, Amy. I was born in England. I grew up in Africa. I played professionally for a little while, but I really loved coaching and teaching.
So you had passion already?
Yeah. Because I turned professional when I was 17.
Oh,
so very young.
Wow.
And so I wanted to see if I could play. If I couldn't play, I thought, well, I'll teach. I've had a lot of success working with players. We've had, maybe players I think have won 23 major championships, men and women. People like Seri Park and from the women's side, and Nick Faldo, Ernie Els, and
Michelle
Nick Price and Michelle Wee. They had 7 world number 1 players too. So, so we're writing books and doing videos and bringing teaching aids out and teaching regular golfers and training our instructors. Life's been busy.
Yeah, I know. So when
training you too, right? That's right. One of my students, you see.
So when you first started teaching, did you know you were gifted and you were going to be like the world's best?
No, I never went out with that goal in mind at all. My grandfather was blind, and he was an osteopath.
Oh.
Some people say I got some of his traits, the feel and the touch,
senses,
teaching to me. Although we in the age of technology, teaching is instinctive, because you have to realize that everybody's different, right? So you have to be able to have the knowledge. Teach it simply. Teaching can be very complicated. People can get paralyzed.
I'm trying to make it as simple as possible as well. Golf world is generally, we are kind of on the conservative side, right? So 30 years ago, you brought out this sensation of early hinging. What was that like back then?
The old theory was like Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman, sort of, extension, wide, one piece. Actually, Ben Hogan was somebody I admired. This is back in the 50s. He hinged the club pretty early. So it wasn't like I developed it or anything. So I looked at it and thought, this makes more sense because they set it late and you're never quite sure where you set it. I mean, it could be in the right place. It's inconsistent.
Yeah.
Almost as if you get it by the time you're halfway back, you're fully cocked, you're fully set.
Yeah.
Then all you've got to do is turn your body and hit it.
Right.
So it just simplifies things. And I think and you're seeing virtually every player now swings that way. There's not too many players that are.
Thanks to you, though.
Well, I don't know if thanks to me. I mean, it was obviously I was there and I promoted it and advocated. I wrote a book in 1989 called The Golf Swing, and that's really where that sort of came out. And everybody went,
When you first was working on it with Faldo, there's a lot of criticism before he won everything.
Well, it's like, you get criticized until people do well. Then they say, that's the greatest idea.
And I know a lot of great teachers out there have actually gone through your certification program and have worked for you in your academy. So everybody knows you're great, but a lot of people don't know what you're like as a person. So I thought I'll just kind of say how kind and warm and loving you are, because remember when I first moved to Orlando, you actually went to the school Andy, your son was attending, and got me in that school.
Right.
Yeah, I was like the world's #1 teacher went to school to get me in the school.
Yeah, like Alan. Alan. There we go.
I know. So he's
that's right.
amazing.
You just reminded me of that now.
Yeah. How is Andy he doing?
Andy's doing great. Yeah, he's running our junior academy.
He is.
Yeah, at Champions Gate. He was in China.
China for a couple of years.
He was there probably more, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And then now he's back in Orlando.
Back in Orlando, so he's enjoying it.
And that's awesome.
So the kids love him, and he's just a big kid.
I know.
And he's funny, so
he's really funny.
Yeah, so the kids really love him. So
awesome.
No, he's doing fine. He's doing really well.
Awesome. That's really good. And then I saw Hallie,
my daughter Hallie, she works for Golf Digest, social media.
She's great. I saw her, she was beautiful. She had the red on yesterday.
Yeah, she's enjoying herself. She really took up golf quite late, but she actually became a very, very good player.
I remember you were caddy for her at one time.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, wait, is it David?
Yeah, I remember. And then I have another son, James, who...
he was a baby when I first saw him.
Yeah, he's now 25 now. So geez,
don't tell him my age.
Yeah. 22. She looks 22, right? And so he's trying to play, and so he's a very, very good player. So we'll see what happens. I mustn't forget my wife, right?
Oh yes.
The most important person, right? Kelly, she was a tour player. She won tournaments in Europe. Really good player. So we've been married 36 years now. Wow. So she's great, and so we've had a fun life.
That's awesome. That's the side nobody ever can see because you're so famous and so hard to talk to, and Well, so I wanted to get it out there.
You ask her, she won't say I'm famous. I can tell you, so, which is good.
Yeah. If you see junior golfers, do you know if someone's gonna be great?
Sometimes you have a sixth sense. When you look at a player. I remember seeing Tiger when he was 17. I actually gave him a lesson when he was 17. And you thought there's something special about this guy. I saw the same with Michelle Wee when she was 13. Unfortunately, Michelle's had a lot of injuries and so on, so she has never really, up to this point in time, although she's going to have a baby in July, she still wants to play, but she's never really sort of hit but you never know how it works out, life's funny, and so you can tell somebody's got some real talent, but as players get older, sometimes the talent disappears a little bit. They lose focus, their minds are not as strong, difference from a 15-year-old who has no care. Now all of a sudden you're 20 years old, it's like, ooh, we're here with the big boys, and it changes things. It's interesting. You can't always guarantee that somebody's going to be successful because there's been a lot of child prodigies who've really never made it. Then you get other players who just, if you take a Jim Furyk, somebody just worked and it became great players. You persevere and you keep a good attitude and you work hard and you work on all the different aspects of the game, then you might have a chance of greatness. Yeah.
What was I like as a student? Do you remember?
You were good. You were very... I remember you were very, very focused on your game, and you were. You worked really hard at your game, and I always admired you for that. And you won junior tournaments, and
I hurt my back right when I turned pro, so that was tough.
And a lot of times, that's the start of some problems, because you hurt your back, you get injured. You start to change your swing without even knowing. Health and fitness are such an important.
So important. You should start right away, I think.
Yeah, young players. You don't necessarily have to do weights but just flexibility exercises, some stuff, because the golf swing, it's a hard movement. Now you hit balls off mats long enough, okay? At a young age, when your bones are still soft, and probably down the road you're going to have some injuries. Kids that hit balls off mats, make sure they're good mats, not just a piece of carpet on concrete. It's really a good point.
Important. I remember when I started working with you, Sari Pak started around the same time in 97, and there are a lot of rumors that to start working with you, that all players have to pass a test. A test.
A test.
Is it true? How did Sari Pak get into working with you?
No, I heard about her. I knew she was coming over to the US, and her agent at the time said, listen, Sari's coming over, she wants to work with you and get on the LPGA tour, so she has a year. So we really worked hard for a year. And,
I remember,
and got her very, you could see the talent there was amazing. So we worked hard on a long game and a short game, and then she went to tour school. She won tour school, but she tied tour school with Christy Kerr. Okay, those two were together, so we're coming through. And then really that next year, I mean, Seri, she won the US Open and the LPGA in the same year. She really started the whole Korean movement
For
there.
sure.
I mean, when she won her first US Open in 1998, I think it was. Yeah, 1998. She was the only Korean player playing. So this last year, I think there were 47 people from Korea playing.
Open the door, all right?
Yeah. So I mean, amazing what she's done for the game over there. She played well and won tournaments. She wasn't quite the same player she was in those first 2 years because she was very hungry in those first years. Then everything came so easy, and obviously the press. It's hard to live in the spotlight like that all the time. It was like God in Korea. I mean, I remember I went back with her at the end of '98. I mean, she was like a rock star.
Didn't she have like a parade and
big parade and everything else. I mean, it was incredible.
It's hard to stay focused when you're praised. I think
it's not easy to do that.
Yeah. In '97, when I first started working with you, I remember coming to Orlando for a tournament, and then my mom bugs you guys every day until you finally agree to see me. So there are a lot of passionate moms out there like my mom.
Yeah.
Is there any advice for those passionate parents to help their kids?
Well, we could spend a day probably talking about this, okay? Because some parents are better than other parents. I think, look, first of all, the parents want the best for their kids. Now, we understand sometimes you need to push your kids a little bit, but, if a player's going to be a great player, they're going to be a great player because they want to be a great player. I think some of these kids that I see, particularly in Korea and China, they don't really love the game. It's like they're doing it because they're good and their parents want them to do it. It's too disciplined, and the problem is that there's no doubt that they will get burnt out mentally and physically. And we're seeing young players, that have injuries now that we never saw before because of over-practicing, working. If you want to have a longer career, like Tiger is a perfect example, even though he's had a lot of injuries, but he's paced himself. You've got to pace yourself.
Right.
You take time off, you get away, you have hobbies.
Right.
That get away from golf. So, parents need to be open-minded about this and not just, come on, practice, because, this kid won a tournament last week and he's practicing. You need to go and practice. Well, some players, they're great practices. Some players are great players, And it's like you have to find your way, okay? And kids, in the end, really, they have to sort of decide for themselves how good they want to be, and the parents need to support them. Yes, sometimes you might need to say, hey, I don't think what you're doing is right, but it's very difficult because, from a young age, you've always been, hey, no, don't do that, don't eat that, eat this, eat that, whatever, So it's difficult for parents, but they have to learn if you want to have successful, happy kids, I mean, winning tournaments is great, okay? You can't just be happy if you win a tournament because you're not going to win a tournament every week.
Right.
So my point is that, you have to have a well-balanced, rounded life.
I think parents should teach the kids how to stand on their own and be able to manage. So how important do you think fundamentals are and good swing is for golfers, amateurs, or pros?
Look, this game, if you've got good technique, it does help. We know there are some different swings. What is good technique? Good technique is that, hey, you have power, you have accuracy, okay? You have consistency, okay? Those three things, power, accuracy, and consistency. So to get those three aspects, even though a swing may be somewhat individual, like a Matt Wolf or a Jim Furyk, there's different sorts of swings that sort of are successful. Good technique is actually more important for the average player because they don't have the athleticism and the skill to compensate and whereas good players, they find a way to get the club to the ball.
As well, yeah. Makes sense. That's so good.
And I think the thing is, it's very important to start off with instruction. Even your kids. I mean, we have a Leadbetter Kids program now, right?
Yes.
We have two programs now. One's the Leadbetter Kids program, starting from the age of 4, helping to develop an athlete. Okay, not just a golfer, an athlete. Okay, because these golfers now are athletes. So we have these programs that we're training teachers to teach young kids. So we're having these programs set up all over the world. We have the Leadbetter Golf University.
I saw that. I was going to ask you.
So teachers and coaches, not only just from our academies, but from around the world, can actually go to online and learn all the different aspects of coaching and teaching, from the technique to the mental to the physical to biomechanics to nutrition to you name it.
Everything,
so you become a complete all-round coach.
Do you have a physical location?
Well, it's actually online. It's
Online?
a Leadbetter Golf. Yeah, you
Oh,
just go to the
that's
Leadbetter
awesome.
Golf Academy, and it's Leadbetter Golf University.
When did you start running?
We have an app now for us. It's literally in the last couple of months.
Wow.
So it's been in the planning for a
That's
while.
awesome. I want to check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out.
If you're David Leadbetter, what do you shoot for? What are your goals?
What are my goals?
Leadbetter's here, so.
I think, look, I love what I do. I don't know if I'll ever retire. I don't know completely. I'm trying to slow down. Oh, sorry, I got my hand in front of me again. So, hey, everybody. Look, it's just to be happy in what you're doing. I like working out. I like fitness. I like traveling. I like meeting people, playing a little golf here and there. So I like to do different things. And in the end, look, you're not on this world, not on this earth for very long. So you gotta be happy, help people. Be a good person. Try to be a good person as you can be. And to me, look, it's just having a great attitude, the people you meet, and the friends you make, and family.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Really
Lovely to
was
see you. You're
amazing.
looking great.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and
Best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
Best of luck. I'll check out the university part.
Yeah,
I would
please,
love
yeah,
to. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.